Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and buckle up for a brand new season of Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on Slow Motion Broadcasting. JR Gregory here with you on the call, along with my partner, Kennen Miller, and our producer tonight, Racing Ron Maunz. As 2025 Season 4 begins, we're going to get things rolling at Summit Point Raceway, located 2 hours outside the D.C. Beltway in Virginia. Summit Point opened back in 1969, past host to IMSA, Can-Am, and Trans Am, and current host to the SCCA's Atlantic Championship. Tonight's configuration is 2 miles, 10 corners with a lap record of 104.452, set last year by actually the 2024 Formula Atlantic champ, Matthew Butson. And Kennen, anybody who came up through rookie Miatas might have a little PTSD from Summer Point. It is an older track. It has long been free content on the iRacing service, but it is by no means a beginner's racetrack. So what do you think we're in for as we enter week 1 of a brand new season?
Yeah, JR, I think we're in for an absolutely fantastic 12 weeks coming up. And starting off at Summit Point's a real great ode to, like you said, the rookie seasons. Everybody's used to running the track. It's going to be pretty familiar for all the drivers up and down the field, but it does test you in a lot of different ways. There's some very interesting, I don't think they're really an off-camber corner, but they really want to throw you off the side of the track. And this being another beautiful natural road course, we don't have a lot of pavement for runoffs. It's a lot of grass. And if you get yourself a little too wide on exit, you're going to find yourself slipping and sliding. So there's plenty to be challenged out here, whether you're at the top or the bottom of the field right now. And it's a really good way to kick off the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 season.
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you, this track, a lot more difficult than it looks on paper. And even watching right now, it looks like there's not much to it. It looks fairly flat, but definitely a couple of tricky spots. I always find turn 10 coming onto that pit straightaway, which is a critical corner to get right, to get a good run down the pit straight into turn 1. I find that hard to get the turn in exactly right on a consistent basis. You can't overslow in these F4 cars, so you got to commit to a very precise turn in and nail it every single time, and that can be quite challenging. And also that turn 3, there's not a lot of elevation change around here, as I said, but that left-hand turn 3 can be a little bit difficult. There's just a slight rise in the track right there. The apex and the exit are a little bit hidden, and that can wreak havoc with these drivers. And also a lot of these slower corners that the cars are going to be exiting in second gear are going to take some real patience on the throttle, or we're going to see some of these F4 cars facing the wrong direction.
Yeah, these Formula 4 cars are actually in a lot of ways quite overpowered for a track like Summit Point. They are very tight corners, and even like a lot of tracks we go to, we talk about how they're underpowered and they're really able to maximize the corner. This track, very narrow speed, very narrow width of the racetrack and very tight corners is going to give these cars about everything they can handle. And you're absolutely right. Turn 10 will be where we see all the moves set up. It very much could turn into a drafting race, but setting yourself up out of turn 10 off onto the longest part of the track, the front straightaway, is where you'll see a lot of moves made going into turn 1. And in a lot of ways, a lot of the draft, you'll see the passes complete before they get to the start-finish line. Could make for a very interesting run on the last lap.
Yeah, too right, Kennen. And as practice winds down, got a few frequent flyers that we recognize from last season. I see Duvall, Meyer, Navas, Van Wagner, Guyton, Posada, and others up there toward the pointy end. David Borden, however, is a name not familiar to me. So newcomer Borden looking pretty good in practice. He got about a half second on Duvall. So may have a situation here where we might see Borden drive away. And if you're new to Sim Racers Group, this is the kind of first broadcast step in the ladder. They do have a Formula Ford rookie league, and you move from Formula Ford up here to F4. So no damage here. The emphasis is on seat time and driver development. So if you scuff a wall or run into somebody, they don't want you taking a tow and ending your race. They want you to keep getting that critical seat time. And the goal, of course, is to move up eventually into Formula 3. And we broadcast those Formula 3 races here on SMB on Wednesdays. So be sure and tune in for that one. So just a brief intro to SRG. Another interesting thing about these this league and these races, Sim Racers Group is actually a physical brick and mortar facility on the east side of San Jose. And if you're familiar with the area, it's just off the 101 south of the 680 interchange. We're just kind of right off the 101 highway. And it is a fantastic facility. I had the pleasure of visiting there last weekend. They've got a dozen rigs set up there. So if you would like to give these cars a try and you're in the Bay Area, swing in there. Everybody's super friendly, supportive, and as I said, a dozen high quality sim rigs if you want to give iRacing and give sim racing a try without investing in the equipment. So just pop in there, ask for Jason Cotcher, and they will get you set up. But in any event, we got about a minute left here in practice. That will lead into a 15-minute open qualifier. And you may be used to seeing solo qualifying in various leagues on iRacing. This league uses open qualifying, and frankly, that is what happens in real life. They're not going to clear the track and send you out to qualify on your own. So I kind of enjoy the open qualifying, add some strategy. You can pick up a draft, traffic giveth, traffic taketh away, and it can mix up the field a little bit and add some excitement through the qualifying session. And as I said, that's going to get underway here in just a moment.
Yeah, and we see it a lot week after week. That open qualifying session does present issues to a multitude of drivers. You always find there's a certain group of people that want to always make sure they're out first and at least put down some form of lap by getting in front of the field. But no matter what, somebody has to be the middle of the pack going out, right? So everybody kind of goes out, and some people really get stuck where they spend the whole 15 minutes and just can't quite get that perfect lap, whether it's doing with traffic, you're still having to pass somebody, you're having a little bit of air interference, doesn't allow you to get into the corner the way that you'd really like to. It always really presents a challenge, and it makes it such like a real life test compared to what you see with the single car qualifying. I think the drivers like it. We certainly like it up here in the booth. It makes it really thrilling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And one other thing to keep in mind, Ken, we talk about this off and on, these short, on a short circuit like this, we've see some pretty low lap times. There are your practice results. We mentioned Borden up top and some of our other frequent flyers here in the F4 league, but we've got laps going down just under 70 seconds, and it may very well be worth it to run 3-4 laps, pop in for tires, and try another qualifying session with a light and fuel load and tires. It's, we've gone back and forth about that, but after spending some time behind the wheel of these things, they kind of hit their sweet spot after about the third lap and start to fall off. So especially on a shorter track like this, there is time to swap for some fresh meats, and we may see some folks doing that this evening as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good strategy to come in and try and maybe halfway split the session, run 2 sets of tires. We do tend to see a lot of drivers prefer to stay out. I think some of that has to do with just the confidence you build in the car with each winding lap. A lot of times as you're progressing, you can sort of find each lap you push it a little bit and a little bit harder. You come in and pit, and it kind of breaks that little mental zone state that you might be in. So weather-wise, we haven't really mentioned it. It's 70 degrees, partly cloudy. It's only 54% humidity, so it's a pretty nice and clean day. The driver should have all the grip you could really ask for out of the racetrack. But this track really does wear some tires, and the heavy braking zones will create a little bit of an effect. So I'll be interested to see just how close to practice times we get on the first laps. And yeah, we're a few seconds off, so you'll see a lot of time being gained throughout the whole qualifying session.
Yeah, and speaking of weather, it's showing 68 degrees, but weirdly hot track temp is about 96. So it might be a little greasy, but certainly, as you said, Kennen, it could be worse. And those qualifying times starting to come in. Van Wagner currently at the top of the 111.4, and we're certainly going to be seeing big bites come out of that. We are in the 109s, mid to high 109s in practice. So these drivers just kind of getting warmed up. It does take some time to get some heat in these tires. These cars not very heavy, not a lot of power. So showing some patience, getting the tires warmed up, part of it. And you see Van Wagner there exercising, I'm not sure if you'd call it patience, as he goes through lap traffic like he's going through cones on an autocross, but certainly not expecting him to improve this time. There's Greg Meyer, almost a 110 flat, who will take over pole. So Meyer kind of getting up in the neighborhood that we are expecting to see up top. Right now it is Meyer from Van Wagner, from Guyton, Duvall. Now Guyton is going to jump up. There's our first 109. That's a 109.3. Chia also gets under that 110 barrier with a 109.9. So I'll tell you what, Ken, one of the real pleasures of calling these F4 races for a couple of seasons here is watching the improvement up and down the field. It's really is, as I said, really quality league, with a very supportive group where these drivers are helping each other, coaching each other, and all kind of getting faster and improving together, and pretty fun to see it unfold on our broadcasts here.
Yeah, it always is. The Sim Racers group is a lot more than just a racing season or a racing league. It's a lot more than just doing a race once a week, sometimes maybe twice a week. But it's really about a community, growing everybody's confidence, growing their mindset. You're not just out there learning how you can be faster, but seeing how other people are driving, learning from it, maybe finding a tip or two that you feel like you can share with them. All these drivers know each other very well, and they race around each other a lot. So there's certainly a lot more to be grown and learned from than just a simple race on the racetrack.
And riding along with Novice right now, and I thought he might have had one going last time, showed a purple sector, but must have got caught up in traffic. So Novice currently sitting all the way down in P13, and I certainly expect that to improve. Right now, it is still Guyton up front. Got one more driver who has jumped into the 109s. Van Wagner has jumped into P3 with a 109.8, and only 5 minutes into this one, and these laps are adding up so quickly. And I really would not be surprised, Kennen, at all to see some folks diving in about the 6-7 minute mark to try some fresh tires with this light and fuel load. But qualifying looking pretty good so far. Looking up and down my timing tower, I've got the top 8 cars within 1 second. So we're looking at another competitive start to what is going to be a competitive season here in F4.
Yeah, they're really starting back up right where they left off after that thrilling finale that we had just in season 3, and everybody's really close together. I was kind of taking a moment to look through the results in the practice session, and some of the fastest laps were very early on in that session. So I wonder if maybe the track has gotten a lot warmer, like you noted, at 98 degrees. It's getting a little slicker. We were just on board with Jose Navas, and it just blows my mind how he keeps a hold of the car. It's just all over the place underneath him, just slipping and sliding, and he really managed to keep it on quite a nice line. These car and track combination is just such a handful. It really keeps the drivers together. It makes it a close race, and like we've mentioned earlier, this is a track everybody's familiar with. We all had to drive thousands of laps at Summit Point at one point to progress our license. So a lot of drivers are very familiar with it, and it's exciting seeing them throw a Formula 4 car around it.
Yeah, and for many of those drivers, familiarity breeding contempt. And we're taking a look at David Borden right now. He's showing some green sectors, and remember, he was our leader in practice, sitting all the way down in P18 currently, 3 seconds off of Guyton, who is still holding on to P1 for now. And at this point, yeah, we're the 109 club is growing, going all the way down to P9. So it's Guyton from Meyer, from Van Wagner, from Borden, from Novice, and scratch that, Van Wagner has jumped Meyer and is within spitting distance of Guyton, only about 31 thousandths behind Guyton. So quite a clog up top there. And taking a look now at Van Wagner in that number 6 car. And, it's Kennen, I don't think that's a McDonald's livery, but for some reason, those colors always get me thinking of French fries.
Yeah, it does. Either that or maybe some Haviland motor oil or something. I don't know what that's a note to attribute of, but it's a very nice livery. See some really fresh paint schemes out here every season, and seems like we get some better and better. I believe it's a Mickey Mouse scheme. It's the same Mickey Mouse scheme, but I'm not very good at keeping up with liveries, so who am I to know?
It is Mickey.
Yeah,
it is Mickey.
Yeah, I'm actually. I'm gonna dive in here from the production truck. Hello, folks. It's me. I will say at this point in time, Slow Motion Broadcasting is not affiliated with the Disney Corporation, so please do not sue us. Anyways, I'll let you guys get on with your job.
On a related note, Van Wagner's partner is an attorney for Disney, so I kind of gave him a hard time about that prudential infringement, and he laughed it off. And let's hope that Eisner and the gang aren't watching as I expose that whole situation. But we are about halfway through, and we do see some cars going in. It looks like Van Wagner has pitted. Borden has pitted. By the way, Borden, we are keeping an eye on him, has improved his qualifying, and he's all the way up into P4. Jose Navas has also pitted for tires, so 3 in so far, and Van Wagner has very little work to do. Get it as we watch Walter Fultz. He Fultz that one right through the grass and into the barrier, but as I said, damage off. So whoa, and oh my goodness, yeah, a little rough re-entry there by Walter, but yeah, damage off. He will be back underway. And I was talking about Van Wagner. He's got fresh rubber on that car. When he gets some heat in those things, he has very little work to do. 300ths of a second just over to get up to Guyton. So we'll keep an eye on Van Wagner and see if he's Mickey Mousing around with his qualifying time. And this qualifying going by so quickly. It's only at the halfway point right now, and I feel like we've already seen about a dozen laps out of these folks.
Yeah, only just over a minute a lap, so that get a lot more opportunities than they do at some of the larger tracks that we go to in a season, and kind of makes it fun. It makes it a lot more opportunities. This track really offers a lot of opportunities to gain time, and I think we're kind of seeing that now. Everybody is so close, but just looking at it in practice, we were running a 108.7 was top time. We're sitting around the 109.3s, but I think somebody can really maybe break into that 108 barrier. We'll have to see. It'll take Van Wagner at least 2 laps, I think, to really get the tires up to optimal speed, and then a proper hot lap. And just like we spoke earlier as well, it's just all about how you get yourself out. You see Jacob Guyton getting himself kind of stuck behind. I don't know if he's on a hot lap or not, but it's still making that car have to work those tires a lot more than I know he wants to, even if this was an out lap. So it looks like he's got a lot of clean track in front of him, getting ready to come up to turn 10. So he'll hopefully get a good run at a nice time here this next coming lap.
Yeah, we'll ride along with Guyton for a moment here as he goes through that tough turn 10, looking pretty smooth there, getting a good run down this pit straight, a heavy braking zone into turn 1 here. And oh, by the way, Thomas Brashear coming up out of nowhere now, sitting on pole with a 109.3, and Jose Navas just jumped up, turned in his best lap, another 109.369. Guyton with a 109.396. So our podium right now, Brashear from Navas, from Guyton, all in the 109.3s, and it'll be followed by Van Wagner and Greg Meyer close behind with 109.4s to round out your top 5. So these drivers definitely took advantage of that week 13, Kennen. They've had the extra time to put in some practice, and they are ready to party here. It's a very competitive field. I like to talk about that 1 second bracket. Right now, the top 13 cars out of 20 all bracketed by just 1 second in terms of their qualifying time. So very competitive field here, and looking forward to a great race once this one gets underway. About 4 minutes remaining. And again, it's Brashear from Navas, from Guyton.
Yeah, it really looks like we're setting ourselves up for possibly the best Formula 4 Sim Racers Group season we've had so far. Everybody is just getting closer and closer. We've seen drivers who have been in this league for 2 or 3 seasons and were once at the bottom of the board. They're now sitting at the top. They're competing for poles. Everybody's just working their way up so solidly. And there's Aaron Van Wagner putting down a 109.143. I think just absolutely blitzed that lap. Looked like he had all the open space in the world and really made use of it. That's a well-done lap.
Yeah, Van Wagner done well by traffic that time and putting down a heater, almost breaking through that 109 barrier that Kennen was talking about. And you see him get a little too far off in the kitty litter there. So this lap will be invalidated by that off. But yeah, we're getting very close to those 108s that Kennen predicted we might be seeing here, and still plenty of time for folks to make something happen. I see Looks like Brashear is in the pits, and he may have just thrown down a hot one and parked it. I'm not really sure. Borden has been in twice. Duvall, Tyler Hagen have been in, and Van Wagner looks like he is the man who has made the most out of that fresh set of rubber he got a couple laps ago with a solid grip on the pole. He's got 22 hundredths ahead of Thomas Brashear, who again led practice, and Novice squeaks ahead of Brashear by 2 100. So it's Van Wagner from Novice, from Brashear, as people are not giving up here, Kennen. There's plenty of time to get 2 or 3 more laps, and those laps are still coming in. And there's Borden jumping up, displacing Novice for P2.
Yeah, it's absolutely crunch time. Everybody's got about 2 more hot laps they can try and see what they can do to improve the time. Maybe you've set the car up just right. You're finally feeling as comfortable as you can with it. The tires certainly should have some heat in them. I'm very shocked to see Thomas Brashear and Jacob Guyton sort of just call it in. They were very close to getting themselves into a podium for qualifying, and just kind of interested to see that, but still a really nice placement nonetheless. And the way this race is really looking, and there goes Tyler Hagen a little wide. That's going to be an off track and disqualify the time. I don't think he'll have he will take the green flag before the end of the session, so plenty of time to get another lap in there, but it'll certainly take him another lap to get back up to full speed. So it's this has been quite an interesting qualifying session, really all around. This track doesn't really offer room for track limits, so you just kind of have to hold it tight, and sometimes that can slow you down for the drivers who can really find the limit of the car nicely. It really plays into their hand. They can really push the car a lot with these Formula 4 machines.
And with our producer, Ron, showing you the intervals right now. If you're just joining us or not accustomed to watching broadcasts here on SMB, our SDK timing tower there is color-coded. So those intervals are amber if they are intervals less than 1/2 of a second. Intervals between 0.5 and 1 second are yellow. But as you can see there, the entire grid almost painted with orange all the way down to P18. So, man, oh man, not to beat a dead horse, but some great competition here in Sim Racers Group. And it has been getting better, honestly, from one season to the next. And looks like they're getting off to a fantastic start here. Qualifying ticking down, and if these drivers get across the line before our timer runs out at 15:00, they get to complete whatever lap that they're on. So still plenty of time here. These drivers running right now are going to cross start finish with plenty of time to get another lap in. So we'll keep an eye on them. Looks like Michael Wynn has 1 fast sector in, and Briette Hyde has a personal best sector in, and still plenty of time to make something happen here. But currently it is Van Wagner from Borden. From Novice, then it's Brashear, Guyton, Meyer, Duvall, Samudio, Posada, and Glasser rounding out your top 10. But as I said, plenty of time left, although it does look like some folks are pulling over. Oh, those are the folks who know that they didn't make the line in time to get another lap. We'll take a look at Adam Duvall here. He has an opportunity to make something happen. No traffic in front of him, Kennen, and very little amount of work to do. He just needs 2 tenths to get past Duvall. A couple more tenths could put him all the way up on the podium here. So fans of Adam Duvall are going to be crossing their fingers for that lucky number 13 car.
Yeah, I think looking up and down the field, Adam Duvall is really the one who's going to finish up this qualifying session for us. He looks pretty clean. I don't know if he'll improve the time or not. We'll have to see what hits on the board. And no, maybe he had an off track somewhere that we missed on the first part. So I did not see it post any newer times. So a little bit rougher of a session for Adam Duvall, but still starting pretty nicely in 7th, I think.
Yeah, and that looks like we are finished with qualifying, so we'll have the starting grid for you in just a moment. And remember, no nannies on these cars. So they're not the most powerful cars in the world, but they're very light, and that 160 horsepower 4-cylinder can make them a little bit of a handful on cold tires. So we'll have a standing start on cold tires and have that mad dash down that long pit straightaway into turn 1. So that will be our first test of these drivers, both getting these cars moving and getting them woed up into turn one and getting them through there successfully. And I mentioned after turn one, there's a little kink that's turn two, and then a very, very difficult left-hander over a rise there, turn three. So that can be another area that can pose problems, and we'll certainly give you the best view of that we can. But here is round one, week one of Sim Racers Group F4. Here's your grid. Aaron Van Wagner has taken the pole. He'll line up next to David Borden. Behind them, Jose Navas will line up next to Thomas Brashear. Then it's Jacob Guyton in row three next to Greg Meyer. Adam Duvall will line up next to Rudy Samudio in 7 and 8. Then it's Diego Posada next to Ken Glasser. Michael Huynh next to Ryan Chia in row 6. And we'll give that a little scrollioli. That will lead us to Jason Trantham next to Tyler Hagan. Dan Clark will line up next to Embriette Hyde in row 8. Walter Fulch will line up next to Ken Estep in row 9. Then it's Cy Nathan next to Albert Diaz in 19 and 20. And whoever this schlump Kennen Miller is, probably not going to grid, did not set a qualifying time. And of course, that's my partner Kennen getting out there and putting down some practice laps with the gang earlier. I forgot to ask you how that went and how the car felt out there, but we'll get to that once we get this one underway here. Looks like about 30 seconds iRacing will force the start. That is Van Wagner to your left in that number 6 car, so he will have that all-important inside position on that first run down into turn 1. However, David Borden in that 94, that outside move is doable here into turn 1. Advisable on cold tires on the first lap? Probably not, but could be tempting for Borden if Van Wagner does not get that car off the line clean. And time ticking down now. We should have our start lights here momentarily. We'll keep an eye on Barney in that starter tower. And there they are, 2025 season 4 about to get underway, and it gets away a little too soon for Aaron Van Wagner. That is a drive-through. Van Wagner, after securing pole, his race is over in a shocking development. Jumps the start. Man, oh man, he did not want his race or his season to start that way, but there it is. So Van Wagner is off the board. It's really Navas from Borden from Bashir, your top 3 going through that first corner. And man, oh man, to be a fly on the wall wherever Van Wagner is, he has got to be fuming.
Yeah, and then we see a couple cars, I believe that maybe Jacob Guyton involved with someone back there in the incident. And Greg Meyer and Guyton together in the back there. Definitely hurt themselves, but Van Wagner really cost himself there. That's heartbreaking to have to see on the opening start of the season.
Yeah, and tough for Meyer and Guyton. They both qualified deep into the top 10, currently running 19 and 20. Meyer has lost 13 spots in that little kerfuffle in turn 3. I told you it was a difficult spot. Guyton has lost 15. So they are way in the back. They are DFLing it. And if you're new to race parlance, that means definitely far from the lead. But as your pole sitter comes in to serve that drive-through penalty, Jose Navas will lead him across the line at the end of the first lap. It is Navas from Borden from Bashir. Those 3 cars training up and have dropped P4 Diego Posada to the tune of about 3 seconds. So Navas, Borden, and Brashear putting on a show here early. And Van Wagner is he still moving? Yeah, it looks like he is. So he's going to come back out. Oh no, he parked it. Wow. Okay. I think a jump start is just a drive-through. It may be a stop and hold, though. I may be wrong about that, but Van Wagner,
I believe it is a stop and hold.
Sitting in there burning time right now. I'm watching. Oh, it's a 40-second hold. And there it was. He was 38 seconds stationary in his pit stall, and that will give him a 20-second gap ahead to Jacob Guyton running in P19. And my goodness, Van Wagner, and you know that hurts. There are 4 drops here, though, so you can feel a little bit better about that. Go ahead and get back out there, get some seat time, and just resign yourself to this being one of your drops. But, man, it sucks to burn a drop in the first week. And look at Borden. He is all over Navas like the plastic on Grandma's couch. Borden going to try that outside move into turn one and does not quite get deep enough on the brakes, but a nice little over-under here as they're going side by side, approaching turn three. Novice is going to have the inside line into turn three. Borden probably wise to back out of it, but wisdom has no place in the life of Thomas Borden and makes an epic outside pass into turn three. Wow, that was a great move.
Yeah, that's just an absolute commitment pass right there. And then you see Novice gets into Borden. They're both around. I think they'll get back continued pretty quickly, but oh no, that's going to put Thomas Brashear right in the lead. I know he was happy to see that probably happen in front of him. Really opens up a lot of racetrack for him. That is, wow, just a really hard move. You don't expect Borden to make a pass like that on the outside going into three, and Novice tried to come back into him going into four, and it just did not work out.
Oh my goodness. And David Borden, sometimes you get the elevator, sometimes you get the shaft, and Borden got the shaft. That time he lost. He gets hit again. Oh my goodness. And yeah, he's down 9 positions sitting in P11 and had a real crack at winning this one after that epic move around the outside of turn 3. And is this a replay? Ron's going to show it to you right now. Or no, that's a replay of that impact into turn 5. That's Novice after being passed, stuffing it down the inside of turn 5. Maybe a little optimistic there, Kennen. There is stewarding after the fact here, and I got to think that Captain Cotcher is going to be taking a look at this move. Ron's going to show it to you here. Oof, my goodness. Yeah, that may be a bit of a dive, Kennen. What do you think?
Yeah, it certainly was quite a lunge going into the corner. Contact like that just in a lot of ways just can't be permissible, but that corner turn 5 at some point, it's notorious for getting the brakes locked up. It's downhill. You don't realize just how much speed you're really carrying into that corner and where you need to get yourself slowed down to. So presents quite a challenge. We see cars run into each other in that corner all the time when we come to this racetrack. So it's just be interesting to see what the stewards come up with after the race. Yeah,
and Summit Point, very, very tough on some of these folks early on. We've got Borden, Guyton, and Van Wagner all with double-digit losses in terms of position. So the field really shaken up by a couple of early incidents. And up front, it is Brashear who benefited from that kerfuffle involving Novice and Borden. And he has a 4-second gap behind to Novice. Novice in P3, Diego Posada in P3 with Duvall all over him, and Duvall not shy at all. As you see here, he's taking a peek on the inside of turn 3. So Posada probably keeping his eye on his rear view right now with Adam Duvall looking racy behind.
Yeah, he's definitely putting on a lot of pressure. I think their best situation right now is they're the only real 2 cars kind of grouped up well. We see Dan Clark maybe having a slight issue there, and then we've got Walker Foltz spun around, and he was by far our hard charger. He was up 11 positions. We'll have to go back and see what fully led to him spinning around, but he's now down to 16th place. But 3rd and 4th, Diego and Adam, back to that point, is they've got to work together with their draft. Out of the top 4, they're the only 2 that are really still a group. They can utilize that draft and possibly get back up to the leader.
Yeah, they definitely could, and there is a replay of Foltz got loose, got off, and I'll tell you, once you get those tires heated up, you have to turn it down a notch because it takes them a minute to recover once they've been smoked like that, and Foltz needs a little breather here to get those tires back under him. But apologies to all you Foltz fans out there. It is Walker. I was calling him Walter earlier, and definitely Walker Foltz. But kind of a rough start here, Kennen, at Summit Point. Kind of to be expected. It's a very, very difficult track. It's much harder than it looks. And unless your name is Thomas Brashear, who has just had this P1 completely fall into his lap, he's enjoying a nice 3.4-second interval behind with 13 minutes remaining.
Yeah, Novice just hasn't. You see Novice running wide there into the dust coming on the front straightaway, but he just hasn't quite been able to do anything to catch on to the lead. That cost him about half a second there on the final corner exit, and just nothing to really be done. You see Posada's just kind of following behind. I think they've got to find a way to get a little bit tighter, get this draft kind of going to work for him on the front stretch. They just can't get themselves too testy on the back half of the track where it allows them to cost time. They just got got to run as a group and maybe see the bigger picture of getting back up to Thomas Brashear. So right now he's starting to walk away.
Yeah, he definitely is. And, easy for us to say, not sitting here in the commentary booth and not behind the wheel to tell Duvall to take a breath and run nose to tail to catch up to Brashear when a little train forming there. Novice now leading Posada by about half a second, with Duvall about 0.3 behind him. So Novice kind of looking like the cork in the bottle right now. And I would not want to be Posada. You got to measure up a move on Novice and get Novice between yourself and Duvall, because Duvall is not going to be waiting around much longer for something to happen. He wants to pounce on that P3.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he wants to hang around if he feels like he's getting held up. It's starting to get to the halfway point of the race, and while it seems like 10 minutes is a lot of time, it really goes by quickly, and looks like Thomas Brashear has just got himself locked in. I don't see him making a mistake, and you just want to put yourself where you're comfortable. You're not getting held up. You don't want to find yourself slowed down. You see he's getting right up on the rear Posada. I doubt we'll see him make a move here, but going into 5, it could be possible he makes a look if he gets a good run out of 3 and going into 4.
Yeah, and 5 is sure tempting, but it can lead to catastrophe. As we saw earlier, it's very difficult coming around turn 4 to get it lined up for turn 5. You're going to have to throw away the exit of turn 4 to set up 5, and it can be inviting, but very easy to overcook, as we saw Novice do early on in his incident with Borden. And riding along with Duvall right now, we'll stay with Duvall for just a second. Oh my goodness! And
no!
Somebody getting camera shy there. That was that was Borden, kind of going from bad to worse. So Borden had been able to claw his way some of what he lost back up, but now that incident is going to leave him in P18, 16 out of his qualifying position. So things not going well for Borden. You see him catching just a little bit of grass there and almost a bowling ball through the pins there, but threads the needle and doesn't take anybody with him. But Borden, after a very promising start to this one, is all the way down into P17.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking to see. He really performed well. He's obviously new to the Formula 4 Sim Racers Group Series, and really showed a lot of shine between his qualifying run and his practice time, and just gets so hot going into turn 5. I don't know if he just didn't quite realize the speed he was coming up on, or whether he just really overshot the braking point there. You can see a lot of times, especially in these Formula 4 cars, they're very difficult to find a good braking marker and really see out of the car, that especially with another Formula 4 car in front of you, can take away what you're normally looking at, and just a few feet sometimes can be the difference between making the corner and the car just locks itself up. That car has proven, that corner has proven to be very difficult so far this whole race.
Yeah, there it is again. You see Michael Wynn kind of overcooking that entry, and as you see him pausing to try to make a responsible re-entry, does a pretty good job there, letting Samudio through and coming out behind Rudy Samudio. But Kennen, look, that interval up front, taking a look at Dan Clark now, who's struggling a little bit. He's sitting in P18, down about 3. But look at that interval, Kennen, between Brashear and Jose Navas has dropped to 2 seconds. So Brashear had been enjoying about a 4-second interval. His pace dropping off, it appears. He must have had an incident on that lap, because he's been lapping around 110, which is where the people around him have been lapping. So we'll see what kind of time we see out of him this time. And Navas drifting the night away through that final complex before coming down into turn 10. The rear tires starting to protest Navas's treatment of them. Something has happened with Duvall as well. Navas was leading Duvall and Posada at a very close interval, and now Navas has dropped Duvall to the tune of about 2 seconds. So the field spreading out a little bit up front, but thankfully Posada still with Duvall to keep him company. And you see Jason Trantham in the background there, and Trantham, by the way, all the way up into P5. He is our hard charger currently, having gained 8 positions just by keeping the car out of the grass on the track, and avoiding the flaming barrels that he's encountered spinning in front of him.
Yeah, he's been putting together really consistent lap times the whole race. He hasn't found himself getting caught up in any contacts or troubles along his way. It's worked out really well. I'm sure he certainly had a few he's had to avoid. We've covered since the last 12 minutes of this race, but he's really done a well job. And even it's Embry Hyde's racing for a top 10 right now, having quite a battle. Jacob Guyton just getting by her. So that's also pretty standard anymore in the Formula 4 group. Embry Hyde is always going to move up. She rarely finishes behind where she starts, and a lot of it just comes down to the consistency and stability, and you really see that out of the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 series.
Yeah, Hyde definitely keeps it frosty, and she's definitely consistently consistent. Does well with pressure behind, and does well keeping the car on the track. And here is a little action that is Duvall and is that Jason Trantham ahead? No, that's Duvall and Posada, as Posada sitting up into P3 right now. And I'm not sure if that was a change of position or not, but that side-by-side entry into turn one takes very good car control and great trust out of both of those drivers. Good driving.
Yeah, that was a really good pass by Posada to get third place there and see if he can maybe make a run to get up to Jose Navas. He's got a lot to ask for to get 3 seconds back in just under 7 minutes, coming to almost just 6 minutes left in this race. It winds down so quick. Navas has found himself where he's kind of stuck at 1.8 seconds. He hasn't been able to quite push it. We were on board with him a little bit ago, and we could see just how hard he's pushing the car. I wonder if the tires have kind of finally neutralized themselves and Brashear is able to kind of maintain his gap.
Yeah, tire wear is a thing in these cars for sure. It is fun to mercilessly flog these F4 cars, but the tires do start to fade at about the 5 minutes remaining mark, which is where we are now. And you did see Navas fighting for rear grip there as he's digging, trying to do something with Brashear. And here's Duvall and Posada again, side by side into turn one. This time it's going to be Duvall with the advantage. He's going to have the inside line into turn three. So these two competitors putting on some of the best racing up and down the field tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely going back and forth, and it's really looking interesting. Duvall getting him back. I know Posada's going to have to set up another move. I think at this point they've pretty much given up having a fight for second. They're going to take the fight for the last place on the podium, and I think it's going to be quite a good duel with still 5 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, here comes Jason Trantham, and you know that when he sees Duvall and Posada dicing, fighting, burning through their tires, that is exactly what he wants to see. He could be sitting in the catbird seat for that P3 if Duvall and Posada, things go south between those two. But up front, it is still Brashear with about a 2 second gap back to Navas. Navas has extended his gap back to Duvall due to all this fighting. As I said, Trantham only a second and a half back from Posada right now. So Trantham wanting to join this party between the 13 of Duvall, the 44 of Diego Posada. That gap now 0.4 with about 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and if Duvall and Posada start getting back into it a little more side by side, that's only going to open up the door more for Trantham to get right into this. He's certainly at this point holding a very comparable lap times, and he just needs an opportunity to get that 1 second gap kind of closed in, and he'll be right into the fight. It's interesting seeing just how hard Duvall there the last lap going on the front stretch. He was really having to switch lanes trying to break the draft, and it did kind of work to hold Posada off, but I don't think Posada was really maintaining right on him, and he's setting himself up to really get a good run on the front straightaway this lap.
Yeah, and on Posada's nose right now, catching a draft from Duvall. You see Duvall with the weave, trying to break the draft, but that gap only 0.2. And right here, keep an eye on that timings error. You'll watch that gap dropping due to the slipstream. And right now, 0.24, and it's dropping down to 0.2. Duvall will move over to the right to try to cover the inside, changes his mind, doesn't think he needs the defensive line, and he doesn't, as Posada shows his nose on the inside, but actually loses time. That gap growing now to 0.5. So Duvall making good use of the track there and good use of defense. Got a very good run out of turn 10 down that pit straight, and starting just ever so slightly to pull away from Posada. If Posada wants another crack at Duvall, he is going to have to stay with him right here and watch him fight for grip in that very tricky turn 5. There's a big concrete patch right here, one of the charming features of Summit Point raceway, and one of the things that makes it very, very tricky, and probably only 3 laps remaining right now. We'll stick with Posada here for just a second and see if he gets a better run at Duvall this time. The gap right now, 0.2, and see who gets a good run onto the pit straight. Looks like Duvall might have gotten a little better drive out of that corner of the gap, not really falling off. Duvall hanging to the right temporarily, but now is confident that he doesn't need to defend here and is going to take the normal outside line into turn 1. And Novice may have figured that Duvall has smoked his tires and there's nothing he can do, and just drive a normal line, get the car around a couple more times, and he'll have that P2 sewn up.
Yeah, I think we're coming into probably 2, maybe 3 laps to go, but I wonder how much Posada really is trying to put the pressure on getting past Duvall yet. I think he doesn't want to get by him too early because he got a really good exit there that last time by, and I was very shocked to see he didn't really gain any momentum. So I wonder how much he may just be kind of sitting behind, holding tight a little bit, and seeing a little opportunity maybe the next lap. And there we see Tyler Hagan getting bit by the exit of turn 5 again. That has just been so costly for feels like half the field now. It's just such a hard corner to get through, and it really proves what makes this track one of the best ones to go to.
Yeah, so tough right there. And I think Kagan, and with that visit to the barrier, may have got a DQ from incidents. It looks like he may be out. So Hagan bitten repeatedly on this one. And the last chomp taken by that very difficult turn 5. And here we go. Kennen, you called it. Posada may have been preserving his tires for the final lap here, and he's sensing it now. We're on the penultimate lap right now, so Posada might have taken a breather, wanting to preserve his tires for the last time around, because you don't want to trade positions and lose the game of leapfrog on the last one, kind of like playing musical chairs here. But Posada hanging very nicely with Duvall, and I think we're not on the white flag yet. They may get one more lap here. So Posada, sticks his nose, peeking down the inside there. Posada feeling very racy here as we approach turn 10 for the last time. And these drivers will get the white flag this time around. So Posada knows if he's got something for Duvall here into turn 1, he needs to deal it out right now. And a pretty good run by both drivers with that gap under 1/10. And Duvall is going to leave the inside open. And Posada, accepting the invitation, is going to be the battle of the last late breakers down into turn 1. And Posada gets it done. Ooh, a little smooch there by Duvall. Posada overcooked that entry just a little bit. Now they're side by side into turn 3. What could possibly go wrong here? Oh my goodness, Kennen. This is a fantastic last lap between these two. It looks like Duvall, though, just with the edge. Posada will have one more chance here, breaking down into turn 5. And holy cow, this is some great stuff. And indeed, Posada does show his nose down the inside of turn 5 there, side by side briefly. But Duvall doing a great job here, hanging on. And Duvall may have just done enough to secure that last step on the podium. And man, oh man, the F4 racers have put on a fantastic show for us today as we're coming down to the flag.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see Thomas Brashear here. He comes to take the checkered flag. Pretty dominant race. Novice was able to get a little bit closer, but never able to put a real competition on him there at the end of the race. So really well done for him, and great to see into the first race of the season.
Yeah, as we see our top 5 roll across, that was Thomas Brashear for the win, followed by Novice, Duvall, Posada, and Trantham. And all 5 of those drivers moved up significantly. Brashear +3, Novice +1, Duvall +4, Posada +5, and Trantham, again, the hard charger, up 8 positions. So some fantastic work by the pointy end of this grid, keeping out of trouble and taking advantage of opportunities that were presented to him. And, that was a pretty good race, Kennen, at a very difficult track. And we're going to have your final results for you here in just one moment.
Yeah, that was a really thrilling race. It was amazing to see Jose Navas be able to get into half a second coming to the line, but just a little too late, a little not enough, just coming down to it. So that was pretty interesting. And by far, Duvall and Posada just putting on a show for everybody here on the Slow Motion Broadcasting Network. It was really thrilling all the way to the end. And really well done by Adam Duvall to be able to hold off Diego Posada. I thought Posada was going to be able to get through on turn 1, and they may have touched, I think, 3 or 4 times going into 3, but I think that was just as close as racing can get. No harm, no foul, and they really settled it out on the final lap quite greatly. That was exciting to watch.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And Navas definitely did a good job cranking down that gap to Brashear. Got it down to about half a second there on the final lap. But don't forget, Navas's efforts might be sullied, Kennen, by his contact with Borden early on in turn 5. I know that the stewards are going to be taking a look at that. So there may be an asterisk for now on that P2 by Navas. But we have got your final results for you. We'll go ahead and put those up now. And it is Thomas Brashear keeping out of trouble. Just let that one come to him after some kerfuffle up at the top of the field. Brashear doing a good job moving up 3 to take the win. He's followed by Jose Navas in P2. Adam Duvall will round out the podium in P3. Then it's Diego Posada, Jason Trantham rounding out the top 5, followed by Greg Meyer, Jacob Guyton, Michael Huynh, Ken Glasser, and Rudy Samudio in P10, followed by David Borden, Aaron Van Wagner. I know he's disappointed with that P12. He was pedaling his butt off to get even there after being 20 seconds in DFL after that false start. And Briette Hyde will come in P13. Ken Estep in 14. Cy Nathan in P15. Ryan Chia had some problems, fell about 4 positions. Walker Foltz, we saw him go up and down the grid. He had a good thing going and then had a couple incidents that dropped him back down. Then Albert Diaz will be in P18. I said Walter, and it's Walker Foltz. Apologies to Mr. Foltz. And it's Tyler Hagan in P19 and Dan Clark in P20. Both of those drivers losing 5 positions. So a little bit rough and tumble, Kennen, but some people moved up, some people moved down, but overall, pretty good racing up front. And let me just take a quick peek out front here. Yeah, it looks like we have got our winner, Thomas Brashear, waiting to talk to us. So I'll put my Discord skills to the test here and see if we can get him in here. And we have got Thomas Brashear, today's winner. And Thomas, what a drive from you. It really amounted to getting in a decent qualifying position, and being in that position kind of allowed the race to come to you. Van Wagner with the false start, Navas and Borden coming together, and then it was just you managing your gap down the stretch. So how did that race go from your perspective?
Yeah, it was good. I think honestly, I think it's probably my first or second race win here within SRG, but I just followed what kind of Jason has taught me throughout the past couple of years, is just be patient, take your time, let the race kind of evolve. And obviously with people jumping to start in the beginning and then seeing the 2 tangle with Jose and another gentleman, I was like, this is my time to shine, and managed my race pace. I made sure to stay consistent, no off tracks, nothing to slow me down. And once I could keep that consistently, keep the gap, I was like, okay, it's in front of me here. Just be safe.
Yeah, it was a great drive, and it can be challenging driving up front by yourself. Personally, I tend to go faster when I'm chasing somebody in front. So driving alone up front and just staring at your relative and minding that gap, definitely a skill set of its own. So a fantastic drive, Thomas, and congratulations on the P1. What a great way to start the season, 2025 season 4 here in Formula 4 competition. So fantastic stuff. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
I think Jason probably be the one I'd like to shout out the most. Definitely has coached me since the beginning and given me pointers. Thank you guys as well for putting in an amazing broadcast. I have a lot of my roommates and friends that watch it as well through every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So thank you guys.
All right. And thank you. Thanks for coming by, and we'll look forward to seeing you on track next week.
Thank you. You as well. Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers. And let's go ahead now and let's see. Let's go ahead and bring in Aaron Van Wagner. Now, Aaron, I want you to wait for the question. I don't want you to answer early here. Okay.
Very funny.
Man, heartbreaking. I know that you didn't want your season to start that way after all the work that you put in to get that pole position. Everybody's done it. I've done it. And that really sucks.
Yeah. I'm flying the flag of shame right now.
But you could have just kind of hung your head and walked away from the rig, but you served your penalty, got back out there and regained about 8 positions, and continued the race. So good job on that. And if what happened on the start?
So, this is my first time doing a standing start with the new UI, and I just got kind of confused. The lights had turned red, and then they kind of went blank, or I don't know, they had gone blank, and I thought, maybe we go, but then they turned green as I was halfway down the front stretch, and I was like, yep, that's not right. Yeah,
greenliness is definitely the key.
Yeah.
2 drop weeks, obviously, if you perform as well down throughout the rest of the season as you did tonight in qualifying, this is obviously going to be one of your 2 drops, and it kind of sucks that it's in week 1. You don't want to burn them early, but looking ahead at the schedule, looks like a pretty decent schedule. Is there any track that you're dreading or any track that you're really psyched about this season?
Well, I think we're doing Monza in the wet next week, so that's gonna be a tough one. But no, other than that, the schedule looks, I feel like I'm pretty familiar with the rest of the, like Winton. I love Winton. I love Circuit of the Americas. I love like the Hermanos Rodriguez track, Oserschleb. I mean, these are all tracks that I really, really like. So. I'm not tripping too bad on it, and I know week 1 be nice to come out swinging and not strike out, but I still pulled off the 12th. I'm not super bummed about it, and I think that this season there's a lot of drivers who are really closely matched, and I think it's going to be an incredibly good season. So I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, not the way I want to start, but looking forward to the season either way.
Well, there's a lot of good drivers in the field, and you showed that field that you have got the pace to put that car on pole. So there's definitely something to be said for that. And as we wrap up, Aaron, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
I want to thank everybody at SRG. I got to meet Lloyd, and I flew up there this weekend and met everybody. Did the in-house 6-hour, and it was so fun. We had the best time. I want to thank everybody at SRG for welcoming the SoCal boys up and being so nice. And yeah, we drove with Stephen Case, and we ended up with a P2 that in the 6th hour. It was awesome.
Yeah, my team did not do quite as well, but I had to travel down there, and it was it was super fun to participate in that, and everybody was very cool and welcoming, and fantastic time for sure. All right, Aaron, well, thanks for stopping by and chatting with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything.
All right, cheers.
Bye.
All right, Kennen, I will go ahead and hand to you Diego Posada.
Yeah, we got Diego Posada here. We just watched him have an absolutely thrilling finish with his battle with Adam Duvall. Wasn't quite able to get the best of the battle and get on to the bottom of the step on the podium, but 4th place is a really well done job to begin the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 season. How do you feel about your run, Diego? How do you like the start of your run?
I'm happy with how it went. It sounds like I actually got some screen time this time. That was really, really, really fun. Big shout out to Adam. That was a great battle. Don't even care that I got 4th place.
Yeah, we certainly had you guys covered for darn near at least the last half of the race. It seemed like you guys were duking it out with each other, and certainly a few touches along the way. You feel like everything was run pretty clean between you guys?
Absolutely, yeah. Just a little love tap, a little cheeky, little 0x. I think at the end there was a little contact, but it wasn't anything detrimental. Yeah, that was. If it goes like that every time, I'll be smiling for the next year.
Yeah, it was really amazing to watch. It was a really well done race, and we look forward to seeing you race throughout the rest of the season. And I know it's been a big talk throughout the entire paddock that next week we're going to Maunz in the rain. Have you gotten any preparation towards it? Any thoughts as we move toward next week?
We'll see how that goes. I might have to stop by this weekend and get some practice in. Yeah, Thomas and I, we don't have rigs at home. We come into SRG, so Monza in the rain. If we want to keep up our good performances, we might have to get a couple hours in on the weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like a good way, and we've always noted just how wonderful the facility is there in San Diego, and just a real good community. So nice to see you're out there racing with them. And anybody you'd like to thank for a well done race today?
Yeah, I usually shout out Jason, and I'm going to do that again, but I also have to say, shout out my dance partner for that whole race, Adam Duvall. That was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really good racing, and I don't think that's the last time this season that we'll see you guys duking it out together. So hopefully there will be many more races to come.
Good deal.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Diego.
you guys.
Really nice. Well done. 4th place finish. Great start to the season.
All right, that was Diego Basada, and week 1 is in the books, and what a race we had at Summit Point. But folks, we are not just about these fantastic open wheelers here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. I want you to go ahead and hit that subscribe icon and then hit the notification icon as well so that you don't miss any of the action coming up. But tomorrow night we will stay with Sim Racers Group for the season opener of Formula 3 competition at Barcelona. Then Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula V will travel down under to visit Phillip Island. Sunday kicks off with a Weekend Warriors double feature at Olton Park. Spec Racer Fords and Formula Fords will both throw down in back-to-back races at Olton Park. So you are not going to want to miss that. Thank you so much for joining us for this fantastic race from Sim Racers Group. I am JR Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner Kennen Miller, our producer Racing Ron Maunz, and everybody here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and look at the bright side. At least it ain't Monday.